Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J this morning, Scott the Cow Guy, Scott Shalady, Fox Business contributor. Obviously, a very telegenic gentleman. That's why you're a TV guy normally, but we appreciate you doing radio today. Getting back to your roots here in suburban Chicago, Naperville Central's finest.
Well, you know, the western suburbs.
Interesting times we're living in. You've got the left organizing rallies for a former FBI director. You got Alyssa Milano rallying to the defense of Tucker Carlson, and Rachel Maddow decrying the dismissal of Jeff Sessions. Okay. On the matter of Tucker Carlson, just in case you hadn't heard it, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but there's more details that have been filled in on the thugs that showed up to harass and, frankly, terrify his wife, who was home alone at the time they showed up. This is what they were chanting and saying through a bullhorn and whatnot when they arrived at Tucker Carlson's house.
Tucker Carlson, we are outside your home to protest of fascism and racism. You promote hate that's led to an ideology that has led to thousands of people dying by the hands of the police, to trans women being murdered in the streets. Your policies promote hate, and we want you to know we know where you sleep at night.
Mail bomb.
Mail bomb.
We know where you sleep at night.
Tucker Carlson.
And they persisted. Racist scumbag, leave town. Mail bomb. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. David Crosby was there, apparently. Sonny Bono. I would make light of it if it wasn't so serious, because Tucker Carlson revealed, I called my wife. She had been in the kitchen alone getting ready to go to dinner. She heard pounding on the front door and screaming. Someone started throwing himself against the front door and actually cracked the front door. Thankfully, his wife was, or his kids were not home at the time. His wife barricaded herself in the house's pantry because she feared a home invasion.
That's where we're at now. So you have to do what you got to do to make sure that you're okay. And, I heard the same talk last night late from both Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity. It's not as uncommon as you think.
I bet it's not.
They've both had armed guards living with them.
Well,
because of this.
And attendant to this, there was another instance of doxing Hannity and others, providing home addresses, so, to incentivize these Antifa goons to go harass them or their families. It's ratcheting up, it seems to me. For more on this topic, colleague of Bret Baier, is also a telegenic gentleman like Scott Shalady. That's why he's on TV. Bret Baier joins us now. Bret Baier, host of Fox Special Report, 5 p.m. Chicago time, weekdays. The book, 3 Days in Moscow, Ronald Reagan and the Fall of the Soviet Empire. Bret, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys.
So your reaction to the incident at Tucker Carlson's house and just the general landscape we were discussing.
Yeah, it's horrific. Tucker is the office next to mine, and I was wrapping up my show, and he was getting ready for his show, and we passed in the hallway, and he told me that this was beginning, that this was starting, and I said, what is happening? And he was getting messages from his wife, and she had called 911 from being locked inside the pantry. Now, Susie Carlson might be the sweetest person in the world. She might be. She is a lovely, lovely lady. They have 4 kids, and, I'm just saddened that she had to go through this. And, it is the environment where we are, and I think that needs to change. It has to change. Whether it comes from, both sides on the extremes are to blame. And you can't put blame any place. It just has to change because it's not tenable in the long haul.
You're going to get reaction today with respect to Trump's executive action on immigration. As he said prior to Tuesday's election, he is going to, under the president's power, as interpreted by the White House, to act on immigration in the context of protecting and providing for national security. He's going to change the asylum rules, deny asylum to migrants from some Central American nations, including those marching towards the United States in this widely reported caravan. He's going to announce today which countries will fall under the rule. How do you see this playing out in the context of the Democrat takeover of the House and this continuing to be a central issue?
Yeah, I mean, this is an executive order. The House obviously could try to pass some legislation that goes the other way, but then they would have to get it passed to the Senate, and that's not going to happen in the current dynamic. So this is the president's purview on national security and securing the border. I heard Chuck Todd yesterday saying, the mysterious caravan has gone away. It hasn't. The president hasn't been on the campaign trail, since the day before the election. So it hasn't been talked about it as much. But from everything we're hearing, there are, 2 caravans still making their way. Now, you can, whether that's a threat, you can assess different thoughts personally about what it means, but it doesn't mean that they're not there. Well, so anybody who's saying, the caravan is all make-believe, we have had reporters down there that say it's not make-believe at all.
Well, there's reports. Scott, this is Scott, Brett. Good to talk to you. Lately, we've heard reports that they're demanding buses now because the roads are too dangerous and the cartels will be after them. So it's still very real. As of yesterday, the demands for buses were being spoken about. So it hasn't gone away at all whatsoever. If anything, I would say it's actually risen. So.
Yeah, I mean, and there'll be, this is executive order. Once it starts kicking in, because basically it says you have to come through a port of entry and you're going to be at the border in some kind of structure, whether it's a tent city or something. You're not going to be kind of let into the country while you await your asylum hearing.
It looked like on Tuesday night, Republicans picked up 3 seats in the Senate. Now it looks like 2 are still very much in doubt, with a recount pending in Florida. And still apparently hundreds of thousands of ballots to count in Arizona, with Cinema up, I guess at last count, about 9,000 votes over McSally. Are we going to see a sort of 2,000 redux in Florida, and what are we going to see in Arizona?
I think both have teams of lawyers that are going down to Florida and Arizona. The hundreds of thousands that are left to count, some of them are from Republican counties, so don't. The 9,000 up may change over the next day or so. In Florida, it's an automatic recount first by machine, and then manual recount if it gets to within 0.25%. And the Senate race is there. So the real question in Florida is there's some really strange things going on down in Broward County, where the head of the election commission is not saying how many votes she has left to count. And she's not letting anybody in to see the counting. And you have Marco Rubio and others saying this is more of the same. So, yes, we are going to see 2,000 times 3. There's actually an Agriculture Commission recount as well.
What's the backstory on Brenda Snipes? Because people are rightly asking the question, wait, she was previously convicted for illegally destroying ballots. Then how is she still the Broward County Board of Elections supervisor involved in the administration of elections?
That's a great question.
Okay.
And I don't know the answer to it.
It's like, how do we find ourselves here?
But I know there's people finding boxes that say provisional ballots all over Broward County that suddenly they just find them in the back of an elementary school. And I don't know how this is going to go.
Is Miss Snipes from Chicago?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Boy. There's a lot of Chicagoans that moved down to Florida. I don't know. She could be.
I spent 40 days and 40 nights in Tallahassee in 2000 looking at hanging chads and bouncing courtroom to courtroom. So I'm very familiar with it. I think that we could be looking at something that gets pretty ugly.
You know,
You've got a lot of issues. You've got Puerto Ricans who came over after Hurricane Maria, 250,000 plus who registered to vote, who are allowed to as American citizens. But that created a lot of chaos
sure,
in
yeah.
voter rolls. And then you've got Hurricane Michael that affected about 300,000 votes in Bay County. You're going to have a lot of issues.
By the way, 40 Days and 40 Nights in Tallahassee would be a great title for your autobiography. Just think about it. That's not bad.
I thought it was a country western song.
Yeah, that could be that too. It could be a lot of things. Last question before we let you go, Bret. Any insights on the replacement for Jeff Sessions? Matt Whitaker seems to be getting some criticism, including from Republicans, but so he's probably on an interim basis. But what's the instinct in terms of where the White House wants to go on that post permanently?
Yeah, he could stay for a year under the statute. So, but there's a lot of criticism because of his past statements, his history, what he said about the Mueller investigation. I expect they're going to move to get a permanent nominee. Chris Christie was at the White House yesterday. He's one of the names. Lindsey Graham, Pam Bondi down in Florida is one of the names that's been floated. We'll see.
All right. He is Bret Baier, Fox News special report anchor, 5 p.m. Chicago time, weekdays. The book, 3 Days in Moscow, Ronald Reagan and the Fall of the Soviet Empire. Bret, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
See you guys.
Take care. And he joined us on the turnkey.pro answer line.